Hello, hello, hello. This is Chrisia, and I'm here for your lightning lesson. And so, yeah, today I'm going to be talking about, let's see if I can make this work, finding more time. And if you're the kind of person who is probably saying, I'm too busy to work on my English, or I don't have enough time with all the other things I'm doing, then this is going to be just for you. Here at Lightning English, I try to give you ways that you can improve your English quickly and easily. I don't want you to have to spend a lot of time doing it. And so I give you 20 minutes of practice activities that you do every day that really helps to move your English forward quickly. But for some people, even finding 20 minutes, like 4 5 minute portions of the day to practice English is still too hard. I still get people saying to me, "Oh, I don't have time right now." And here's the reality: we are all super busy, especially if you have a family, if you have a career, a job. We have so many things in our lives that we are focused on, that we're using, we're spending a lot of our time on, we're using a lot of energy on these things. And so it pushes away things like improving your English, things that we feel like, oh, that's going to take a long time. And I don't have a long time right now. And so I'm going to talk today about how you can find more time. And I'm going to start by letting you know that I am not an expert in this. In fact, if you know me, you know that my desk is usually a mess. I'm not the most organized person. I've been known to be late to things. I sometimes forget things that are in my calendar because I'm not the kind of person that looks at a calendar all the time. And so a lot of these time management techniques don't seem to work for me. But I think in the last 10 years, since I've become a mother, and also as I started my own business, time management became more and more important. Working for myself, I don't have someone telling me what to do and when. I have to decide. So I've had to find more time in my day to do all the things that need to be done. So I'm not coming to you as an expert in time management, but more as someone who is also trying to manage my busy schedule and to balance my work and my life and the things I enjoy doing and the things that I have to do and the things that are good for me. So, with that in mind, I'm going to share some of the things that have really worked for me and that are working for me, and that I also share with my students. I share some of them in my English boot camp and in my coaching. If I find that students are having, or my clients are having trouble finding time for their English, I really sit down and help you to use some of these tips and really find the time in your schedule to fit this stuff in and to remember to do it, because that's also really important. So let's get going. The first thing that has really changed, I think this is the thing that has changed the most for me in the past year or so in terms of time management and finding more time in my day, is mindset. So here's the thing: if you're constantly walking around saying, whether it's saying it to yourself or to other people, if you're like, I'm too busy to do this, or I don't have time, or oh, I can't manage my time, or I'm disorganized. If you're telling yourself this, then you're going to believe it and you're going to act based on that belief. And the reality is that everybody has 24 hours in a day. Everybody, whether it is the most organized person, the person who has the, most success and is getting the most done, or the person who's doing absolutely nothing. We all have the same amount of time. And so there's a quote from Zig Ziglar. He was a motivational speaker. And it says, lack of direction, not lack of time, is the problem. And that can be hard to hear. I know it was hard for me to hear because I'm like, oh, lack of direction. Okay, yeah, there is some lack of direction. And the reality is that if you decide that something is important, you are going to make time for it. or you should make time for it. And so that's a really, really important thing to do. Change your mindset. Stop telling yourself you don't have time. And instead, try this. Instead of saying, I'm too busy or I don't have time, you say to yourself, this isn't a priority for me right now, and see how that feels. So if you say to me, oh, I don't have time to learn English or to work on my English, how would it sound for you? How would it feel for you to say, that's working on my English is not a priority for me right now? Is that true? If it's true, that's fine. You shouldn't be setting aside time for something that isn't a priority for you. But if it is a priority, then you need to follow the next steps that I'm going to share with you and make some time for it. So, deciding whether or not something is a priority is important, and fixing your mindset so that you understand that the problem isn't that you don't have time. The problem is that you have not made this a priority. Whether we're talking about your English, or it could be, for example, if my husband says, hey, let's go for a walk, and I say, oh, I don't have time. If I say to myself that going for a walk with my husband is not a priority for me right now, if that's true, then I don't go. But if it isn't true, if it actually is a priority to spend this time with my husband or with my kids or whatever the action is, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the time to do it. We don't find time, we make time. Okay. And we make time for the things that we think are important. So the first step is get your mindset and realize that this is something that's important to you. And if it's something that's important to you, then you're going to have to make time for it. So, how do we do that? How do we make time for things? Well, one of the first things that you can do is take a good look at the time that you actually have. Like I said, we all have 24 hours in a day. How are we using that time right now? Okay, yes, I know your schedule is full. I know that you're busy, but what are you busy doing? One thing that you can do is do a time audit. I know this is also time consuming, but basically, what you do is you can do it for a day or you can do it for a week. What you do is you set a timer so that it goes off every 15 minutes. And every time it goes off, you just make a quick note of what you're doing, okay? And kind of how you've spent the past 15 minutes. Were you actually doing something that's important? And then you can look at it at the end of the day and say, okay, how much of my day was spent on high priority tasks? How much on medium priority tasks? And how much of my day did I spend on things that really shouldn't even be on the radar? When we look at the time that we're actually using, sometimes it can be quite surprising how much time that we quote unquote don't have, that we're actually wasting on things that are not even on our list of priorities. So if you can replace, I'm not saying stop, playing games or watching Netflix. What I'm saying is replace some of that time with higher priority things. So that takes us to the next thing. So if you're doing a time audit, you figure out what your priority things are and what your time is being spent on. Then you go on to set some goals and priorities. You figure out, what is it I want to spend my time on? What is the most important thing to me? What are the most important things in my life? What are these things that are going to move me forward? What are these things that are going to take me where I want to be? And this is really important. This has been really important for me, as I start my business, and as I try to grow something that really I've never done before. I've had to decide, what is important here for me. What do I want to do? What do I want to spend my time on? And so once you do that, it makes things much clearer. And then you can set some goals. You can say, where do I want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be with your English a year from now? Set some goals and figure out how important this is to you. Is this more important than catching up on the next season of whatever show you're watching? Is it more important than spending time doing something else? And you'll find out what those something else kinds of things are when you do your time audit. But figuring out what your goals and priorities are is a really important step to claiming back some of that time that you need to make it happen. And for me, um, I use my full focus planner. So this is like I've posted about this quite a few times, and this has really been a wonderful tool for me. It's not just a book, it is a whole system that helps you to do all of these things to and plus some of the things that I'm going to share with you still. So set your goals, set your priorities. I also have a PDF download for you if you join my mailing list, and I will drop the link to that at the end. But it's lightningenglish.com/goals. And you can kind of figure out what your goals are for English, but use that time, use that journal time that you spend every day, 5 minutes, and set your goals for the rest of your life as well. Figure out where you want to be in your career. Figure out where you want to be in your family life, in your marriage, maybe in if you have kind of a religious life, spiritual aspect. You want to look at where you want to be emotionally. Figure these things out. Set your goals, set your priorities, and write them down. When you write stuff down, it tells your brain that this is important. And so write it down, set your goals, figure out what's more important than what in your life. What are the most important things? What is going to take you there? What's going to help you to get those things? And then set your time accordingly. Okay. The next thing that you should do once you've figured out what these priority activities are, for example, if English practice is a priority activity for you, then you need to schedule it. You need to figure out, when am I going to do it? Don't just say, okay, I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day practicing my English. You think, okay, I've got 4 practice activities. When am I going to do these 4 things? And put it in your calendar. If you use a calendar on your phone, so easy. Put it as a repeating event, not practice English, but say, write, journal, and put it at a specific time of day where you know that you'll be able to do it. You're not going to do it if you don't have it scheduled. Michael Hyatt, he's the one who came up with this full focus planner technique. One of his quotes is, what gets scheduled gets done. And so if you schedule your priority activities, you're much, much, much more likely to get them done. Write them down in your planner or put them in your phone calendar, put an alarm on that activity and put it as a repeating activity so that you can make sure that you get it done. Now, for me, for people like me, putting it in a planner is not enough. I put things on the calendar and somehow the day comes or the time comes for it and I don't do it. My phone is off somewhere beeping and I'm somewhere else doing something else. So just scheduling it isn't enough. I need more kind of serious techniques. And so the thing that has really helped me is creating routines in my day where the things that are high priority, I get to automatically, and I do it every single day. So you already have routines in your day. If you think about your morning routine, there's things that you do in a specific order all the time. And if you do it that way, then you don't have to think about it. It would actually take effort to change it. So what I do is I tag on things that I want to do to the things that I'm already doing. And I got this technique from the book Atomic Habits, which is a fantastic book. If you're looking for something to read in English, I highly recommend Atomic Habits. I'll put a link to this down below afterwards. Atomic Habits is a wonderful way to create a habit out of these high priority activities so that you can make sure you get them done. Okay, so create your routines. You can have a morning routine, an evening routine before you go to bed. I also have, this is also from Michael Hyatt and the Full Focus Planner, but I also have a start of my workday routine. So this is something that I do every day that I work, and an end of workday routine. And having these routines has done so much for me for making sure that those things that I need to be a priority get done. And that is helping me to achieve my goals. So I want you to do the same. I want you to figure out what you need to do to help you to achieve your goals in English and in your life. Okay, so I highly encourage you to join the Lightning Practice Facebook group. Again, I'll put the link for that below in the description, and come and share what you're doing and how you're using some of these things to prioritize and to schedule your practice and to really go forward and improve your English. Okay, I promised you that I would share with you a link to a Lightning English download. It's goals. So this is 8 goal setting journal prompts to kickstart your practice. Okay, so this will allow you to look at where you want to be with your English, and this will help you to plot the path of how to get there. So it's 8 journal prompts, so you can do one of them a day for 8 days, and yeah, they'll take you forward to moving towards getting your English going. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. You can reach me on social media. Wherever you're seeing this now, just put this in the comments. I post this to Facebook and to YouTube, but it's also in Instagram. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at The Real Lightning English. On YouTube, you'll find the Lightning English YouTube channel. And you can always email me at chrissia@lightningenglish.com. I look forward to seeing you again next time. I'm here every week with a lightning lesson for you. And today's lightning lesson was finding more time. And I hope this helps you to find more time in your day to practice your English if that's a priority for you. Get in touch if you need help. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.